Welcome to YouTube, bitch! You're all my children now.
Not working for you? Fair enough.
And he's burned.
Just recently they released the new trailer for the upcoming remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yet another attempt at Hollywood to reduce their carbon footprint by remaking and recycling every single franchise they can get their hands on. A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, was created by Wes Craven. It was originally released back in 1984. 1984 also gave us Gremlins, Ghostbusters, and Greystroke, Legend of Tarzan. Hey, they can't all be gems. Wes Craven's also known as the director of the Scream trilogy, Last House on the Left, and that god-awful werewolf movie with Christina Ricci in it. Wes came up with the idea for A Nightmare on Elm Street after reading a series of stories about teenagers who had been so terrified by some form of night terrors that they'd been refusing to go to sleep. This had been carrying on for weeks on end. One of the eeriest stories involved a young man who had suffered such a horrific nightmare that he absolutely refused to sleep. His family tried desperately to try and calm his nerves and reassure him that everything was alright, but nothing would work. Finally, the boy couldn't stay awake any longer and he fell asleep. Relieved that he was finally getting some sleep, the boy's parents put him in his bedroom and let him be. Later that night, they heard a horrendous scream coming from the boy's room. His parents ran into his room to find the boy thrashing in his sleep on the bed. Finally, the boy laid still and died.
Spooky!
Freddy Krueger was inspired by a man Craven saw outside of his apartment building when he was in the 6th grade. Looking out of his second-floor window, he saw a man that was very Freddy-like in appearance shuffling along the sidewalk. The man turned to stare Craven right in the face. The man then proceeded to come into Craven's apartment building. Craven said it was one of the most terrifying moments of his young life, hearing the man shuffling around in the stairs outside of his apartment. Freddy himself was named after a bully that used to terrorize Wes Craven as a child. The name Krueger was just an extension on the name Krug, who was the main villain from Craven's last film, Last House on the Left.
I'm having these dreams.
Once it was finished, Craven shipped the script out to all the major studios, all of which turned him down. In an ironic twist, one of the first studios that were actually interested in the project was Disney, although they did want him to tone down the violence in order to market the film for more of a PG-13 audience. Thankfully, Wes Craven turned them down. Finally, the script was produced by New Line. New Line was a little bit of a fledgling movie studio at the time. Nightmare on Elm Street was New Line's first actual film production. Wes had a budget of $1.8 million and a little under a month to shoot the film, which, as anybody in the film industry will tell you, is not a lot of time and not a lot of money, even by 1984 standards. When it came to casting, Craven was originally looking for a larger man to play the role of Freddy. During this time, one of the frontrunners to play the role was a young stuntman by the name of Kane Hodder. Anybody who knows their horror will know that Kane is the only man to ever play the role of Jason Voorhees more than once. Of course, the role finally went to 30-something-year-old actor Robert Englund, after he scared the living crap out of Wes Craven in an interview. Freddy's makeup was designed by David B. Miller. So effective was the makeup that, after falling asleep in his trailer in full makeup one day, Robert Englund woke up, looked in a mirror, and nearly gave himself a heart attack. Freddy's famous glove was designed and built by Jim Doyle, based on a series of sketches done by Jim and then approved by Wes. It was a deliberate attempt to try and create something memorable. All the great slashers at the time had a weapon that was uniquely yours, whether it was a knife, chainsaw, a machete, pickaxe, hedge cutters, whippersnipper, Sarah Palin. Craven was also trying to tap into some deep primal fear that's within all of our collective unconsciousness. The glove brought in $27 million in retail sales and was part of one of the most popular Halloween costumes for years. The original glove that Jim made for A Nightmare on Elm Street was stolen during the production of Nightmare on Elm Street 2. The glove was presented to Wes Craven after Nightmare 1. He then lent it to the filmmakers for Nightmare 2, and some opportunistic little film hound managed to grab it and it's now disappeared. Rumour has it that the glove wound up in a Planet Hollywood somewhere in Australia or New Zealand. A Nightmare on Elm Street made back its production costs in its opening weekend. The film wound up grossing $28 million in its North American run. Nightmare's success helped cement New Line's standing as a serious film production house. Because of this, many people refer to New Line as the house that Freddy built. Unfortunately, it took several more sequels before New Line could afford a half-decent logo.
Come on out, you sick bastard! You open this door, Kruger! What do you think I did? I didn't do anything!
Okay, so the trailer looks pretty. Platinum Dunes really doesn't skimp when it comes to the visual aspect of their films. There's a lot of classic Freddy imagery in this trailer. Lots of shots of long corridors, scraping fingers, boiler rooms.
This won't hurt one little bit.
Blondes in tight shirts. One of the classic scenes from the original seems to be making its reappearance in the form of the Freddy claw coming out of the bathtub in between the girl's legs. And of course, the Jump Rope song is back. The remake's being directed by Samuel Bayer. Samuel is pretty famous for doing a lot of really great music videos. His most famous is Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah, that one. This jumper's starting to smell like Teen Spirit. Jackie Earle Haley plays the new Freddy Krueger. Jackie actually auditioned for the role of Glenn in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. He was accompanied to the audition by a friend of his named Johnny Depp. One of the people in the running to play Freddy was Billy Bob Thornton. Although after being married to Angelina Jolie, you think he's seen enough horror. The only character to return from the original series, other than Freddy Krueger of course, is Nancy Thompson. Nancy is the role that was made famous by Heather Langenkamp in the original film. She's played this time around by Rooney Mara. Rooney's the younger sister of Kate Mara. Kate Mara will be showing up next in Iron Man 2. No idea what she showed up in before that. My personal feeling about the film at the moment is that it looks too slick. A big problem of horror movies at the moment is that they're style over substance. You know, a lot of the directors are they seem to just be concentrating on shots and not so much making a complete movie. I like the design of the new glove. They've managed to find a way of updating it but keeping it looking classic and also without going overboard like they did in New Nightmare. I'm still on the fence about the whole new Freddy look. I mean, Freddy had such a distinctive look, and I know the mentality of what they're doing, or behind what they're doing. Going to see what happens to extreme burn victims and all the rest of it, and basing Freddy's makeup on that. But it just looks a little too featureless at the moment. I really like the choice of Jackie Earle Haley playing the new Freddy Krueger. Jackie, as everybody knows, did a remarkable job in Zack Snyder's Watchmen, playing the character of Rorschach. All in all, I just think there's not enough in this trailer yet to really get me fired up or excited about what the film's going to be. You get the feeling that they haven't screwed everything up, but they haven't really done anything to really capture people's attention. Unfortunately, I've still got Platinum Dunes' Friday the 13th remake in my head, where it was exactly the same as a Friday the 13th movie. They didn't update it, they didn't do anything new, they didn't try to push it forward or anything like that. It was just another film. You could stick that film in between any film in that entire franchise and it wouldn't stand out at all. All in all, we're still a long way away from Nightmare's 2010 release. Hopefully the filmmakers will be able to turn this around and we'll get a great film out of it.
Don't fall asleep.
No matter what though, this film already has one thing that is definitely in its favour. They were smart enough not to let Rob Zombie anywhere near it.